Some wild games in the 3 p.m. UK kickoff in the Premier League, and none more so than at Selhurst Park. Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Donaldson, alongside the former Liverpool defender Stevie Nichols. Stevie, and then there was one. Unbeaten teams left in the Premier League. Crystal Palace. They scored late, did what Liverpool have done to most other teams, and beat them by 2-1. This was a strange game, because Palace could have been out of sight at half-time, and Liverpool could have won it before losing it. Was it the right outcome? Did Palace overall deserve to get all 3 points?
I mean, that's not a straightforward answer.
I know.
Listen, at half-time, Crystal Palace deserved to be 3 up, maybe 4. I mean, they did score, got a little fortunate, Gravenberg with a wayward header back in towards goal, and then it's finished off. But, I mean, at least 3 one-on-ones after that, Mateta and Alisson, and they couldn't add to that goal they got. I mean, as I said, so Liverpool, I guess, if you look at the big picture, can't complain, because half-time they should have been done and dusted. However, complete and utter and total domination in the second half, throwing all kinds of forwards on, which... Listen, when you're going to try and get back in the game, that's what you have to do. But sometimes it bites you back. And that's what happened right at the end. You know, you can question the referee. He added 6 minutes of injury time and blew the whistle in the 8th minute of injury time. These are the types of things that annoy you as a player and as a coach. So for Liverpool, it's on the first half performance, they don't deserve anything. They probably deserved a point considering the second half performance. But at the end of the day, if you want to win the Premier League title, you cannot go away from home and perform the way Liverpool did in the first half of the game.
Indeed. Now, they scored the opening goal after 9 minutes, Ismaila Sarr. They could have had more. What are you putting Liverpool's first half display down to?
It would be really harsh to pull one person out, but I think the man that was the start of it was Konate. I mean, he had an unbelievably horrendous first half. He couldn't pass the ball properly. He kept giving fouls away. He got booked. He's trying to fight Mateta. I know Konate's a big lad, but Mateta's bigger than him. And you got to use your brains. Unfortunately, today, Konate didn't use any brains whatsoever. And so he kicked it off. And it almost kind of spread like a disease after that. Everybody giving the ball away. And then when they give a ball away against Crystal Palace, I mean, it is really the thing that they do best. They exploit mistakes from the opposition, and then they get at you quickly going forward. And only some poor finishing, particularly from Mateta, is the reason that Liverpool were in this game at all.
And the same question, but the other way around. What was it in the second half that saw Liverpool be as dominant in possession as they were? Was it the halftime change where we saw Cody Gakpo come on for Connor Bradley? What else did you notice in the second half that swung at Liverpool's favour?
Well, obviously the changes, you're looking to go forward. You're putting pressure on the opposition. You know, Palace put an awful lot of energy into that first half, and you know, we didn't see them closing the ball down away up high the way we did in the first half. So obviously, they were probably a little jaded, and so you add all that together, and as I said, all the changes, all the forward changes, taking defenders off, so that you can put more pressure on the back line of the opposition. So you add all these things together, and that was the difference in the second half. But Palace defended well. You know, Liverpool, as much of the ball as they had, as many times as they got in and around the final third, as many times as they put balls in the box. I mean, I think Henderson had one save from Verts with about 20 minutes to go. That, you know, if the ball goes either side of Henderson, it's a goal, but it's a good reaction save. And that was kind of the point where you thought Liverpool were getting on. But then, of course, they did it again. They got that goal from Chiesa and actually pushed forward in the overtime and the 6 minutes that the referee added on to try and win the game. and that's where they got bit in the backside. You know, in the 8th minute of injury time, a long throw in. Liverpool had taken all the defenders off, and the ball just breaks kindly for Palace, and it's in the back of the net. So, kind of a roller coaster for Liverpool and Liverpool fans. But I guess, as I said before, if you look at the big picture, you can't win the Premier League if you perform the way Liverpool did for the first 45 minutes.
Now, back in the day, there was a lad by the name of David Fairclough who ended up being known as the super sub because he just came off the bench. He scored goals and got Liverpool out of trouble or extended their win that they already had in the bag. Are we seeing something similar from Chiesa? You're probably not going to start him ahead of what they have, but my gosh, he's useful coming off the bench.
Yeah, 100%. That's absolutely where he is. And he looks quite happy with it. Mm-hmm. You know, you don't come on and perform the way he has done over the last 2 or 3 games and made the impact that he has done unless you're comfortable. And he clearly is comfortable with the position he finds himself in, which is fantastic for Liverpool. You know, there's going to be a lot of games this season, not just Premier League, but the Cups, you got the Champions League. And so, yeah, it's fantastic when you've got a guy with his kind of quality. Yes, it's taken him a little while to show us it, but to be able to have him coming off the bench later on in games or at half-time, whatever it may be, whatever he may need, and for him to produce is always great to have as a coach. It's always great to have him in the squad and yeah, great to be able to rely on somebody like him.
Okay, going back, as we talk about the winning goal, going back to something you said maybe 5 minutes ago, yes, Arne Slot was complaining that too much time had been played. It is a minimum of. It is only a certain number of minutes that are added on. It's a minimum of. And it's up to the referee. It's his discretion as to how long he wants to add on. There was only one sub, so Liverpool can easily argue, hold on a minute here, that should be 30 seconds, and he's still scored after that, regardless. Because Liverpool have benefited from late goals. You've got to defend better than that, Stevie.
Well, I think it's hard to defend that when you've taken all your defenders off, isn't it? You're going to ask Chiesa to score and play centre back. You know, I mean, you can't have it always. And this nonsense about this excuse they hide behind of a minimum of. I mean, come on. We watched this game. 2 sides were trying to win this from the get-go. Even when Crystal Palace back was against the wall, they were still at every single opportunity trying to get forward. So, yeah, the rule itself is just, in my opinion, garbage. Referees have carte blanche if they fancy just to let the home team, usually the home team, get an extra opportunity. That's the bare bones of it.
You wouldn't be complaining if Liverpool had scored up the other end instead of Palace, would you?
Well, I'll tell you what I would do, though. I would be complaining about the referee. I would certainly have felt it. Had Liverpool scored in the 8th minute of injury time, I absolutely 100% would have been saying that referees doing this are particularly annoying to players and coaches. Obviously, on the side that loses the goal or whatever it may be. But, yeah, I mean, I've never got it. I don't understand how you get a minute from 6. And as you said, there's only one sub, and both sides are bang at it going forward. Nobody wasted a second of the time in this 90 minutes. Never mind in the 6 minutes of injury time, apparently. So yeah, it's one of those little things that annoys me about officials. As you know, I'm not a fan of officials in general, but these are the types of things that annoy me. But let me finish after saying that. Let me finish by saying there's no question Liverpool's performance wasn't good enough. They didn't deserve to win this game. And you could argue they didn't deserve the point.
Yeah, and look, credit to Palace for winning by 2-1. Liverpool's still the best team in the country. A defeat at Palace doesn't change it. You're going to get a bad performance. It's when you get a bad performance, can you take something from the game? Liverpool didn't today. So is there anything Arne Slot can maybe learn what he's seen today that might help him going forward that continuing an unbeaten run wouldn't have told him?
Well, that would be easier to answer if had the previous 4 or 5 games been fantastic. But the truth of the matter is, all the things that Liverpool didn't do well today are the same things that they haven't done well all season. You know, losing the ball and coughing the ball up, and then looking what's the word I'm looking for? Every time Palace and anybody else that's played against Liverpool this season has gone forward, they've looked dangerous. Liverpool's back line just doesn't look composed at all. Yes, you would hope that the midfield can stop the opposition getting at the back line as often as it does, but at the end of the day, the back line's there to do a job. And right now, it doesn't look comfortable any time it's asked to defend, whether it's today or the previous games. So, yeah, Liverpool might be sitting top of the league still, but Arne Slot has still got a lot of questions that need answered that he hasn't quite found the answer to yet.
Liverpool stay top, Palace up to second, Man City up to fourth. A couple of goals in stoppage time from Erling Haaland. Hope you triple captained him. And City won by 5-1 against Burnley. This wasn't as smooth as everyone thought it was going to be, and I apologise to the producers for skipping beyond Chelsea-Brighton, so we're just out of sync. But hey-ho, I'll continue. City 5, Burnley 1 in the end looks very comfortable. It was. I mean, it was one-way traffic, but Burnley made it interesting when Jadon Anthony scored that 38th minute goal, but no surprise at the end result and how comfortable it was, Steve, you know?
No, 5-1's probably the scoreline that we thought we would see before the ball was kicked. And as you said, it didn't pan out in the manner in which City would have liked. But listen, we're talking about getting results, and if you're Man City right now, you just want to get the victory. It would be nice to do it in a certain fashion that is comfortable and no drama. Unfortunately, right now, City are in a position where they can't rely on things just being straightforward. They're making it as difficult for themselves as the opposition is. But it's 5-1. It's in the record books. It's 3 points, and they march on.
They do indeed, helped by one of Burnley's defenders, Maxime Esteve, scoring 2 own goals, even though Phil Foden thought he had the first. It was a very comfortable win for Manchester City. Now, Chelsea against Brighton. You see the scoreline of Chelsea 1, Brighton 3, and you think, that's a good away win for Brighton. There's a lot more to this than meets the eye. This was a game where a referee didn't have a great job and VAR got involved or didn't get involved. What's your main takeaway from this? Obviously, Palace, Liverpool, that was your main focus, but You've seen a couple of moments from this game and the officials didn't cover themselves with glory, did they?
No, there are 2 penalty incidents in this game that I, quite frankly, don't understand why they weren't given. Minter was kicked in the face, kicked in the head by Gusto, and apparently there wasn't enough evidence to suggest there was contact other than Minter lying on the ground with his head hanging off. And I thought Reece James up the other end, actually, at 2-1, should have had a penalty as well. I think there's definitely contact on him. And that wasn't given either. And then Brighton go up the other end and make it 3-1. So, yeah, there was a lot of decisions in this game that need scrutinised. And there's a lot of decisions that were given that need scrutinised. And certainly some of the wording that we're getting about the decisions isn't quite adding up in the evidence charts.
Right. I mean, look, trying to defend them and struggling here, we couldn't prove there was any contact. Now, a high boot without contact is dangerous play, but can be given as an indirect free kick. But that should have been a red card. There's also a red card for a Chelsea player. And this is what kind of changed the game a little bit and put it in Brighton's way, because Enzo scored the goal in the first half. Trevor Chalobah, after 53 minutes, initially wasn't going to be sent off, and then VAR got involved and said, yeah, he should have been sent off. Do you feel for Chelsea today, given that some days it goes for you, but today it clearly went against them?
I wouldn't say I feel for them. They can't complain. They got away with the Gusto one. They didn't get the Reece James one. It kind of comes back and forward. I didn't see incredulous looks on people's faces when Chalobah was sent off, to be honest with you. I figured a lot of the players on the field thought it was as well. So, yeah, look, you can't feel for anybody. Things go your way sometimes, and things go against you, and sometimes it happens in the one game. It's just the way it is. You have to accept it, unfortunately, and get on with it. And of course, at the end of the day, somebody like Chalobah, don't put yourself in that position where a decision has to be made against you. So at the end of the day, it's about responsibility on players and the choices they make and the decisions they make when they make a challenge or whatever it may be. So, I think sometimes it's too easy to point the finger at officials, certainly when the decision looks extremely bad. But at the same time, as a player, don't put yourself in a position where the referee can make a poor judgment against you.
Can you help me out with Brighton this season? A 3-1 win at Chelsea, 2-1 win over Manchester City, but then they lose at Everton, they draw at home to Fulham, and they lose at Bournemouth, among other games. How do we predict them going forward?
Well, I don't think you can because of the way they play. They want to go forward at every opportunity they can. And yes, like everybody else, they want to defend well, but the mentality I think Brighton have, whether they're at home or whether they're away, is how can we get forward? How can we get in the opposition half? How can we get in the opposition penalty box? And how can we create and score goals? So, when you kind of have that philosophy, there's always going to be a downside. And that downside is that defensively, you can be caught with gaps. So that's why I think Brighton's results are a little unpredictable because they play open. And when you play open, if you're on your game, you can score plenty of goals and win games. But if you're not scoring goals and you're open, then you're leaving yourself to the wrath of the opposition in terms of whether they take the chances that come along. So that's why it's tough to try and figure Brighton out.
What about Chelsea? I'm looking at the table right now. They're 8th, and their results, losing at Old Trafford, albeit they lost their goalkeeper early doors, drawing at home to Palace on the first day, great win at West Ham, although everybody was beating West Ham, a 2-2 draw at Brentford, a 2-0 win over Fulham, and then they go and lose 3-1 at home. So it doesn't really help me, their fluctuating form as far as what should be their realistic target this season. Top 4 or a European spot? What are Chelsea right now?
Well, I think before the ball was kicked, everybody expected them to be... I certainly had them as top 4, maybe at the worst 5. I mean, Mike, we are talking about world club champions here. Yeah, right. So, yeah, but listen, their biggest problem, in my opinion, is defensively. I think between the goalie and the 2 centre-backs, regardless of who they are, I think that's absolutely where their weak link is. They certainly could do with João Pedro consistently putting the ball in the back of the net, because if Cole Palmer's not playing, the lap's injured, you kind of wonder where the goals are coming from. But yeah, so for me, they've got to be pushing for that 4th spot. But that could be tough because I think defensively they got a problem.
Should they be doing better when Cole Palmer doesn't play? Or do you look at their stats and say, you know what, prior to this game, they'd won 14 of the 17 when Cole Palmer hasn't played. So that kind of backs up your argument about their defence rather than missing their talisman, does it not?
Well, I think the other thing you've got to think about as well, I mean, 5-6 games, they've already 2 of them, they've only had 10 men for way too long. So it becomes difficult when you keep hamstringing yourself by getting somebody sent off. So, yeah, I think again, like as I said before, it's at the end of the day, it's about players on the field making decisions, and when you make bad decisions, then you cause yourself problems. And there's no question that the 2 red cards that the Chelsea have had in the last couple of weeks have been really poor decisions, which have not only hurt the individual, but has hurt the team as a whole. So if they can get rid of that and get Cole Palmer fit, then they to me will be pushing for that top 4. But yeah, they absolutely have to cut that out, and they have to end up making it 11v11 and not 10v11.
Okay, thanks to Stevie. The other game finished Leeds 2, Bournemouth 2. It was a good game, this one. Sean Longstaff with a goal and an assist for Leeds. Joe Rodon also on target for the home side. Semenyo continuing his good form to begin the start of the season when he scored the opening goal. And a 19-year-old from France by the name of Eli Krupi getting the equaliser for Bournemouth. He's a name to write down. And certainly as this season goes on, you might hear a lot more about him. Those were the 3 p.m. kickoffs in the UK. We'll see you again tomorrow when we've got another big game, which we will react to when Newcastle face Arsenal. Bye for now.